Good evening. Welcome to Live, Love, and Marry Wiser, where our mission is in our name. We are on hiatus from our live episodes, but today we have a special AFTERWIZE episode for you from our episode on the myth of the masculine Black woman. We got a lot of views, a lot of comments, and a lot of them were negative on that episode. And this is the conversation we had afterward. And it went beyond just the Black woman and masculinity. We ended up talking a lot about ambition and values, and it was a fantastic conversation. So we want to share it with you today. We hope that you enjoy it. Let us know. But also, let me remind you, next week we will be back live at 6:15 on Tuesday. We're excited about the episode and just the whole season. We have a little bit of changes and some things that are happening we think you'll enjoy and that you'll have some really great takeaways. We are excited that you continue to support us. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, so that we can kind of get more traction and get the word out about what you're learning and hopefully what we're teaching. We appreciate you. So I hope that you enjoy this conversation. Remember, these are a little bit more casual. We're not all, structured and set up, but it's the conversation that just flows after the conversation.
But Renee, did you have anything more?
I thought the whole conversation went really well. The conversation went really well. I did not expect to receive all of that historical information, but I think it's really helpful to get a bigger picture of what exactly has been going on with Black women down the line. It was just like, as you were describing some of the things that they had done, just by, leading the insurrection and leading, these massive groups of people. I was just like, that sounds like women of today. When, that George Floyd thing happened, yes, there were men who took the lead and did that, but there were a lot of women with those bullhorns that were taking control. I mean, not taking control, but that were leading, these groups. And so many, like, when there needs to be some sort of public outcry, when we turn on our news, those are women that are leading those things,
and we've been doing it. Yeah. Because I didn't get a chance to talk about the abolitionist movement where you have women speakers. We think this is a new phenomenon for women to be on stage and having a platform. We've been on stage since the 19th century talking about freedom. We've been on stage in the pulpit since the 18th century when we had itinerant female preachers during the colonial period. So all of this stuff, so people just don't know history because this is what we've been doing.
So the thing about it is, what haven't we been doing continuously over the course of time? It's nothing new. The thing now is that I think some of the things that we do, our reasons are a little bit different. Back then,
yes,
and even now, to a degree, it's a necessity. And I need to kind of flesh out this thought. Back then, it was a necessity for the times and what was happening on a grander scale. But now, I don't really know. Can we try to discuss exactly what women are doing now? Because we were talking about, the trauma and all of the things that lead up to women saying, I need to take the lead, right? The father wasn't there to teach, so they're following the example of their mom, or their husband left and now they have to, take care of the home and the kids on their own. So when they are encountering and they've been abused, they've gone through domestic violence and all these different things that have kind of shaped this new way of thinking. When they are encountering men now, they are seeing them as being masculine for different reasons, right? It wasn't trying to take over a slave ship. It's different. So can y'all try to help me flesh out what the deal is with the women now? How do we describe it in a way that speaks the truth to what it actually is? Some people do it on purpose, because I think one of the things that I was reading is that some women hide behind their money because they really are insecure, or some women, when they over sexualize their bodies, they, a lot of it's said that that's more masculine than acting like a boy, because what you're doing is when you're over sexualizing your body, you're taking over that role of a man by being the
Right.
hunter.
Right. Because
Right.
you're telling them what the parameters are. You're setting this. You're setting the boundaries for yourself and so-called standards for yourself.
Right. So
Yeah.
so help with that, anybody?
Okay, before you answer that, Dr. Holly, this is Ebony. She's the other one of our co-hosts.
I know
And-
her, and I'm a.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's right.
think I know her. Are you from Podford?
Yeah.
I am.
Oh,
That's one of
yay.
my babies. I know Ebony, Miss
I
Ebony.
am.
Hey.
All right.
So I'm only gonna stay on here for 2 minutes because I had to come and say hey to you because I haven't seen you in a
Yes,
month.
ma'am.
Sunday. So happy to see you. And the way that I
Likewise.
can run around this house with my mind is just like, so I was also a history major. And so
Mhm.
my mind is just like the connections that I never made. It's like, wow.
So,
Like,
so what I wasn't able to get to was when you think about the escape with Ellen Craft and her husband William Craft,
mm-hmm,
which was ingenious. But let's look at a deeper level. Who decided why she was going to be the woman, the slave, enslaver, aside from color? Did
mm-hmm,
they make up their minds together, or did she say, because I can pass for white, let's do it this way?
mm-hmm,
And here's the backstory. Ellen and William Craft were married folk in the 19th century and decided they were going to leave their enslavement. And because she was so fair skinned, she could pass for white. So they
right,
forged a note, got on a train, and he served her. And they went
Mhm.
all the way up to Philly, if I'm not mistaken.
mm-hmm,
But here's the deeper thought. Who came up with the idea? I wonder if it was him or her.
mm-hmm,
Because she could have easily dressed as a man
yeah,
and portrayed it, but she stayed a woman, quote unquote, stayed a woman. And so
mm-hmm,
it's all these intricacies that we don't think about. We just know the story, and that's just who's telling the narrative. If we talk about who convinced Henry Box Brown to get in the box and ship himself,
mm-hmm,
and then later on come and get his so all these different intricacies. So it's rather fascinating. That's why I love history, because you
mm-hmm.
can always
Agree completely.
and unfold it some more. So I think part of it, Renee, is understanding where people are. So people have used whatever they needed to use to get whatever they needed. So for instance, in post Civil War North Carolina, you had a large pool of black women who ran boarding houses.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know about boarding houses, any and everything could happen at the boarding house. You
Right.
got a game going on, you got the women coming in, you got the men coming out, everybody coming out. You have all these different things, but she was maintaining her economic base. As long as you paid your money for that rent for that room, you can do whatever you wanted to do. It depended on who she was or where she was. So I can't always say quintessentially, people did it this way in the 19th century as opposed to doing it in the 21st century, because humans are humans.
Can I say something about that example you just gave? I can
Okay.
imagine that women would have to come off as being very masculine because they
Absolutely.
don't know what they're going to encounter.
Absolutely.
So they have to, show that brave face and come off as being very strong, like you're not going to walk over me. But that actually makes me think of like taking a trip to the fish market. Those Asian women do not play.
They're fierce.
Mm-hmm.
They
And
are
it's the same
fierce.
in West African villages. When you go to do barter, baby, you better come with the come on.
Yeah. Again, they put that on black
Mhm.
women, but the women who need to be tough and firm, they are, no matter where they're from.
Where? Right. Definitely. So this passport thing, that's disturbing, because that means people don't understand history.
But I think that's
Yeah.
They don't understand that.
I think that's true.
I
But
think there's
it's a bigger issue.
Yeah.
It's a bigger issue because most people are not going to realize that Philippines were just as enslaved as blacks were. Different, but enslaved nonetheless. The indigenous cultures had to contend with Spaniards coming over, different European powers coming over. Same thing. The only holdout is China and Japan. Those two Asian countries held out the longest in not having invasion, occupation, and high influence. Everybody else faltered.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I
when these
think
brothers are going over to Asia, they still getting.
I think that the passport bro thing has happened a long time here in
Oh
the
yeah,
country. They just didn't need a passport to marry out of their race.
right.
I saw just
Mm.
today, Atlanta Falcons hired a coach that used to be with the Tampa Bay Bucks, Raheem Morris, and I never knew. And but as soon I saw it on TikTok, as soon as I saw his white wife come out of the bus, I'm like, to the comments I go, and they and they were flaming him. We're gonna tell Dr. Umar that type of stuff is that we aren't satisfied with our race. I don't know his reason, and I have no shade at all for people that go outside their race, whatever. Um, but they're the ones that do it serially. That it's
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
this is all you do.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
think there's a problem there, and
yeah,
I believe it's the way they see their
Yeah.
their mothers and their sisters. I have a weird thing in my family. I have three cousins that lived in California, um, and none of them are married to black women. Three male cousins. They all grew up in the same hub. My brother's actually living in that area right now, and I just find it odd. Just I'm so those are passport bros. They just didn't have to get their passport.
Mhm.
Um, I don't understand it. I'm not saying that women of other races are not attractive. They are. I'm not. Let's not even pretend. There are people that try to say, "Well, our only black women are beautiful." Come on, you're being silly. But but if I care about the black family,
right,
Yes.
right,
this is what I'm going to do.
right.
If I, you know, if I care.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's where I am with these guys that are going overseas. You know, yeah. Um, do you care? Do you care about black people? If you say you're saying there is a problem with the black women in my country, so instead of saying why don't we why don't we work together for a solution? They're all like, we're going to get on a plane and get out of here. And I think that that's counterproductive for
yeah,
our race of people, women and men, and the children
Well, it
that
just
come
keeps
from.
us all fractured even more than all
Yeah.
of that history that you shared had already fractured us. It's like now let's fracture ourselves because we haven't see, we maintain this, or we maintain the mindset of the oppressor. Really,
I was
because
getting
Yeah.
ready to say that we taking on the Western culture.
that's the
Yes.
Yeah,
ultimately how we. That's how other people see black women, and now that's how so many black men see black women. It's like at least at some point we were fighting together, but now it's like now we're fighting each other,
Mm-hmm.
and now black women are feeling like, okay, well now I need to go marry a white man or different race man because the brothers don't want me, you know. And
and
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm not a hundred. I'm not mad at that, but when I started, and there were many times in my life when I thought I would probably end up with a white man just because of what I did and who I was around and all of that. But when I started to actively want to date again and act and be ready to be married, and white men would be in my on the online messages or whatever, I was just like, yeah, I don't really want to marry a white man. Like now that I'm like really in the place, I'm like, no, I can't imagine being married to one of them. They're great. I have, whatever, but I'm just like, there are just certain parts of myself that they just won't get. There's certain part, like I don't want to have to explain some things. I just want to like I want to, I want to be at peace. Like you said, I want to come home and have peace And I never want to be afraid that you're going to show up racist in a way that was unexpected to me. And I always fear, as great as you are,
It's in there.
yes, because you
You
don't know.
remember that old Ragu commercial? It's in there.
And so for me, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't want that
Yeah.
that tension in a marriage, you know.
Sure. My thing is with this dating outside of the race. I always use this analogy. I had a friend, childhood friend. She saw this guy. We were in 8th grade. He was in high school by this time. And she said, as the Caucasian young girl, I'm going to marry that brother. I don't know what clicked it for her, but they've been married now over 20 some years.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying it to my other friends. I said, because I know her, I'm cool with it, but I need her to understand that whatever she creates with this black man, she's raising black boys. Now, all of her sons are very fair. I think one of the sons have now married a Caucasian young lady. And I was teasing. I said, you better tell that girl that when something may pop out down the line that doesn't look like her or your son, is going to be some of them things down the line back in the day. I need you to understand that hopefully your husband raised them to understand that even that drop, and it sounds really racist, that one drop is going to come out some kind of way, even though he's a little light too. It's going to come out because we have some strong genes, so I'm just, again, understanding your history and understanding what has taken place in this country, and then be acculturated to it. Don't just say, oh, this is just our family and we're just happy. And at the end of the day, you have a black man who is living in a white world. And now, even though your sons are light skinned, one has hair like mine, bless his heart, big old curls. Another one has a little nicer, tightly curled, and the other one has these loose curls. You got curls, brother. You need to explain. All of this stuff has to be explained because systematically, we have been living in a country like the Israelites when they were under Egyptian rule. We have been living under a country that has stripped us every time they can. So let's say when we served in the military, when we get back from overseas, they don't count your service as meritorious.
Nope.
You can't wear the uniform. You not da 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 da. Well, yes, I am a vet. Because I was on a meeting today and we're talking about a VA hospital, very prominently known. And I said, but you have to tie it to the university that it's tied to. Then you have to talk about the military prospect. And all these folk were like, oh, you think? So just that alone, if I'm coming home to my white husband and I'm trying to explain to him, and he doesn't get it, then that's another level of frustration that I have. It's going to come out some kind of way. So I just think we have to be really careful, cerebral and intentional about stuff that we do. And a brother that's from another person looks great, but if he don't understand where I'm coming from, he just looks great.
And then you
looks great doesn't help pay the bills when it's down in the nitty gritty, unless you really have a good understanding.
And then it is even more of a chore and a task to create and cultivate psychological safety in your home. It's not going to be inherent because the way at the level that y'all need to be connected, you're not there. So then you got to explain why this thing triggers me. You got to explain why this thing resonates with me a certain way. And then it's like folks don't get it. I got folks that I work with who I know support me in my D&I work. I know that they understand parts of the struggle, but when certain things happen and my face shifts, they're like, E, tell me what was happening in that moment. What were you thinking? My Black folks know.
Yeah.
They know.
Right.
And they can say what I don't need to say. And it's not that they don't care. It's not that they don't want to be present. It's not that they don't want to be supporting, but that is not their lived genetic DNA experience. It's just not. And so when you
So
translate
what you're
that
now
into
talking
the
about is
marriage,
memorization of
yes,
memory and place.
yes,
Absolutely.
And you
yes,
don't want
Yep.
to come home after doing that out there for 8 or 10 hours. You
right,
don't want to have to come home and explain the same stuff to the person that you're sleeping with.
yeah,
You just
Right.
want them to get it.
Right.
yeah,
Because
100%.
they're all already just male female things that we don't get about each other. So we working through that. Now we got to bring the race things in. We got to bring the D&I stuff. We got to bring
Yeah.
this stuff. I'm just like, I don't want that. Let's just deal with the stuff that we got to deal with, because I'm a woman and you're a man and we think differently,
Right.
and we don't even understand. Let's just work on that. I don't want to have to explain all this other stuff to you, because
Mhm.
that's gonna frustrate me. Like, I feel frustrated now, like he actually standing here asking me these questions. Like, I'm like, ain't
Yeah.
nobody standing here. I'm just in.
It's-
But for me, it's just like the reality. When I started thinking, I want to be married. I mean, I've wanted that before, but like where I'm trying to be intentional, I was just like, man, that guy, he has a, I mean, there's a lot of matching qualities or whatever, but I'm just like, he won't, I can't, he just won't get it.
I was listening to somebody, and I think it was Farrakhan. I could be wrong, but he was saying to keep looking for someone that has similarities to you or has something in common to you is so superficial. What you're looking now is values. So we
Mhm.
didn't talk about, we talked about
Mhm.
values in a roundabout way, but this whole idea is we have to start looking for folk who have the same value structure.
Yes, yes,
So I don't have to come off being managed. So I don't have to come off where you think I'm emasculating you and stripping you of your masculinity because my value system is different than yours, or how I may think breadwinning should happen in my house, in our household, is different from what you were raised with or what have you, or your work ethic or whatever the case may be. Now we're talking about those inner things, that value set. So to help Renee deal with what was happening in the 19th century as opposed to 20th century, people found each other based on value.
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, did she lock up?
Mhm.
Holly, come back.
And she's saying something good too.
I'm telling you.
She was. That does that
Like a cliffhanger.
that value system
Yeah,
is
and I think that's where the whole Ebony K. Williams bus driver thing came from. That she was,
yeah.
what she was trying to say is that the guy driving the bus, it's not about his money. It's about we don't share the same values because of where we are in life. I forgive her for that. That
Barely.
and shared values are the most important. Once you get divorced, you realize that that's the most important part of being married. If values are like walking in the same direction, if we're walking in different directions, we will never be together because we're
Yes.
going to different, our destinations are totally different. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Can you give some
Shared values.
I
examples?
agree.
Can you give some examples?
Oh, of shared values. Okay. How you raise your children. Is it going to be what do they call it now? Where
Gentle parenting.
gentle parenting.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't, if I couldn't get together with someone with gentle parenting. Also, church spirituality.
Yeah, spiritual.
The impact of our families in our relationship. Those are those are values conversations. What do we want to do with our money? Are we going to be a 50-50 couple? Are we going to be a one bank account couple? No, that's a value discussion, and I almost said argument, but it should not be an argument. It should be a discussion where you guys come together. You don't. I often say you don't have to be on the exact same page, but you need to be in the same book.
Mhm.
That way you can have shared values. And that's what disturbs me about the guys going overseas. You're just trying to get somebody. You're not even looking for someone that shares the same Western. You have Western values. I mean, this person is in a third world country. That's where I was born, in a third world country too. So I'm not saying anything bad, but this person's in a third world country. How do you, if you don't align those values, someone's gonna feel taken advantage of. Someone's gonna feel like they're not getting what they need to get out of the relationship.
Mhm.
Values
Mhm.
values are everything. I bet, and this is just off the top of my head. If you can get people with align with that are, values are aligned, that love will come after time. They don't have to be in love. I mean,
Mm,
I'm
yeah.
Mhm.
trying to. I could be wrong about that, but I think
So
the values are more, because once the love goes, when someone pisses you off, um, if you have those values and you're like, wait a second, I know this person is X, so we can
mhm.
work through this situation, and that love will come back around.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I do agree with
Mhm.
that. I mean that the values have to be, they have to be the foundation that you build on. To you, because to your point, that's what's lasting. But I want to go back to what you said about the about Ebony K. Williams and that um, bus driver comment and her shame in the name of Ebony. But that's a whole nother story. Anywho, anywho, I don't. That wasn't a values conversation.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm, mm-mm. That was not a values conversation. She wasn't, in my opinion, she wasn't talking about values. She was talk. I don't know what I want to call it, but values to me are a part of your character. You can describe yourself by your values. To me, she was talking about, you a bus driver, I'm a boss. We don't have things in common. We don't have things in common that are temporal. She wasn't talking about, in my opinion, she wasn't talking about things that were permanent. She wasn't talking about character. She wasn't talking about salvific things. She was talking about temporal things. You driving a bus all day, so how you going to talk to me about these boss babe things that I'm navigating through all day? That's We don't have those things in common. And I can
Right.
understand that. However, if you are superficial and you are consistently navigating on that superficial level, then maybe you can't have a conversation with someone who drives a bus. But that doesn't
Mhm.
mean that that person is less than, or that their values are less than yours. It means that you superficially are not a
Right.
choosing, it's a choice.
Right.
You are
Mhm.
choosing
Right.
not to connect with that person because you feel like they are down here and you are up here. That
Mhm.
ain't values.
Right. Right.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Because who's to
Yeah,
say
I
that the
mean,
bus
I
driver
get.
is not in school to do something else?
Yeah. Who's
Yeah,
to say what his
You
what
know,
his lived
or
experiences
just
are?
or just like Cat Williams. Cat Williams dropped out of grade school. He wasn't even in high school, but he would spend his days in the library.
yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
aside from anything else with the Club Shay Shay interview, if you didn't know terminology, you were lost.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And he precisely said in one of his interactions with a particular woman, he said, "I made sure I used words that I knew she didn't know."
Mm.
Yes. Yes.
So you can't
It's
just
a
denigrate somebody because they're not
yes.
quote
That's
unquote.
that's exactly what I was about to say. It's
I, I
assumptive
I
and it's
agree, but
presumptive. It's
yes,
it's
yeah.
it's assumptive and
Oh
it's
yeah,
presumptive. That man driving a bus, you have no idea what his experiences are. You have no idea what he's going to bring
not
to
at
the
all.
table. You have no idea what he's working towards or where he's been. You're making an assumption that y'all not on the same level because he driving a GRTC and you driving a Tesla. You driving a Maserati. That don't mean nothing, and
Right,
that don't mean that your character is good. It don't mean that somebody's gonna
right,
want to lay down beside you at night and not have to keep one eye open because they think you're gonna do something to them. right?
Mhm.
Like that doesn't mean that your character is such that that bus driver would want to be aligned with you. You're making the assumption that you're better than this man because of that.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Right. And if
I've
you,
seen I've seen subsequent interviews with her on that, and she's walked it back a bit to just say she's looking for an
Yes,
ambitious
she has.
man. So
She's looking for what?
an ambitious man. She wants someone, like she said,
Mhm.
he needs to be the owner of the bus company. Yeah, it
So
wasn't a good look for her. Wasn't a good look.
It wasn't, and
No,
I
because
haven't
you can get
listened to
him.
anything
You
that she
can get him
said
there.
after that because I was
I
like,
didn't hear
I'm good.
I didn't hear anything about that really, but I might on the side. But I would. But my thing is, I want to say also is that if a man is stable and loving and godly and wants to be a bus driver, sign me up.
I don't want to hear that.
Sign me up, because
I don't want that for you.
somebody has to drive the bus.
I don't
Like,
want that
are
for
you
you.
kidding me right now? Like, how my mother
That's
rode the bus for many years.
We
And
rode the bus.
I'm just like, I just think that we have gotten to a place, many women who are like, he has to be this, but it's like,
Yeah, six
what
figures.
percentage of men actually are that?
Right.
I'm not even just black men. What percentage
Right.
of any men are actually six figures, six pack, six whatever, all the
Yeah,
six?
six.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Is
it's
not a good
ridiculous.
number. Let's just
The number.
remember 666 represents something that we don't like.
Oh well.
So my thing is, what if he does want to, what if he's happy doing that, but he wants to support you doing the thing? Maybe you want to be the business owner. You want to, and he's just like, I'm going to have the stable income and we're going to invest in you and I'm going to support you, just like women have done for many, many years. I'm like, if he's the man that God wants him to be and he's striving to be that, then ambitious to me, a lot of times that can be a slippery slope too. Because then there is a lot of women don't have stability because he's always grinding. I'm just like, I want a marriage.
Right.
I want a marriage. I don't want a business partner.
Yeah.
We may partner
Right.
in business, but I want a marriage.
Yeah.
I want to
Making my
spend
stomach turn.
I want to spend every night with
but
you.
no, so
I want to spend the day with you. I don't want to have to battle with your desire to be 6 or 7 or whatever to the detriment of our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that there are some men who can take care of their bills and handle their life, and we don't even know what's going on with their finances. Because I was just talking to a maintenance man, and he was telling me that he's been working at this place for almost 18 years. He likes it. And he's like, but every time I get a raise, I don't, because they provide housing. He's like, every time I get a raise, I just put that money in my 401k. That dude could have millions of dollars, and he's a maintenance man, and don't nobody know it because that's how he's living. So we also need to get away from this idea that just because someone does what we call a blue collar job, it means that they don't got nothing to provide or protect.
No, I don't think that at all because I do a blue collar job.
Yes,
so
I
I'm
know.
good.
Well, we're gonna wrap up. Onita, I was trying to take some stuff down, and Ebony, Onita had to go as well. But thank you. And I can't delete that part, Renee.
please find a way. No, I'm just kidding. No, can I say something really quick though? Like, we're talking about the bus driver. We're at a big old age. Remember, we're not young. We're not 20. We're not early 30s. Y'all are in your 50s. I'm knocking on my 50s. No, Ebony, I'm still in the 40s. But nevertheless, we're old. And I say older. And I say that to say that if we're sitting there judging the bus driver at the stoplight saying, "Ooh, he's cute, but I would never," that brother could be retired from the military sitting on stacks.
Yeah.
He could be retired from the post office. We don't know. And he's doing this because it's a leisurely job. So he can go, be done, and get home and have that time to spend. either playing golf or doing what he's got to do to prepare for his wife. We don't know. We got to look beyond his bus driver uniform.
I need ambition. I mean, Lorraine just says, I'm
but
like,
what is that?
I don't care.
What is that? What if that was his ambition? Why is there a constant having to strive? What are you striving for?
But could his
what does that mean?
I'm
not talking about someone who's lazy. I'm not saying he's lazy. He's doing the thing that he loves to do, and he's doing it well. But maybe his ambition is to have a home with a wife and a lovely life, that he's not constantly tired because he's ambitious. Who decided? Where is that in the Bible? Like, go ahead, Ebony.
No, I was actually going to tell Hayden to go ahead. I wanted him to finish that thought. Because you've had something on your face for a minute. I wanted to hear what you were saying.
That there's a level. I guess there's a level of ambition. Someone that is just working and grinding and just never. My dad never accomplished. He never got the big 6-figure, 5. He if you would look at the dollars, you would say he was a failure. So and this is part of my psyche. So when he had his first amputation, I'm in the hospital, when he woke up, and I'm like, oh, so what are you gonna do? He says, well, I gotta buy your mommy a house and take care of this stuff. And I'm like, how, what? And he said, never give up. So I'm never giving up. I want someone for Lorraine that never gives up. So I don't know what that means for her.
But here's my thing.
Yeah.
What if he has that already? What if he can provide for me in a way that we're comfortable? I mean, I'm going to make 7 figures, so whatever. But what if he can provide already for me doing what he's doing?
If he's good with you doing 6 or 7 figures and it doesn't hurt him, men are crazy that way.
I know that y'all are, but not everyone is. So I'm going to find.
I'm not. I'll take a 6-figure woman, 7-figure. I'll take it. I don't care about that. But I'm still going to be striving.
Because you have a business, you have to do that, and that's great. But I'm just saying, why do we? It's like, it's almost the reverse of what we do to women who are ambitious, who are trying to build something or grow somewhere or whatever. That if a man doesn't have this insatiable drive to be more and better and get more and do this, that something's wrong with him, where he might just be happy. He got his house, he loves his job, he's doing his thing, and he's just living his life in a way that he can enjoy it. He can enjoy his family. He can enjoy his people.
We put it this way. I have a friend.
He can provide for the woman himself and the woman that he has.
I have an Adventist friend that he has no burning desire for anything. His wife's ambitious. He thinks she's cheating on him. She's looking for that guy. She wants more. I'm not saying she's right, but
I'm not saying she's wrong. I'm just saying, for me, that I don't need someone who's constantly needing more.
It doesn't have to be like that. I mean, you're going to an extreme where I'm like,
no, I'm not, because when you say ambitious, it means you're always striving for more. What does that mean? Is it more money? Is it more power? Is it more titles? Is it more? If you're striving to be a better person, you're striving to be a better father, you're striving to be a better family member, you're striving to be a better godly. If you're striving for that, of course, I love that. But do you have to be striving for things? That means that you're ambitious. Because when you say ambitious, no one means, oh, he's really striving to be a better husband. He's really striving to be a better person. He's really striving to really give back to his community. For me, nobody means that.
Ambitious is impact, making impact. And with impact comes dollars. So
What if he's making
but
impact?
it's not about the dollars.
Okay.
But what does impact look like? Is that like
subjective.
in your community or in your state and the nation, around the world, across the world? I mean, in your family, what is impact?
Probably a little bit of in my mind when I talk to my mentor people, I talk about in a few years positioning myself to be on a city commission, county commission, having impact where it feels empty just to make money and just I did good, but how can I help my community? I want to. I think that I have some of the answers. I want to share some of those answers.
Have you ever done anything like that before, Hayden?
No.
And how old are you, may I ask?
56.
56. So at 46, were you less than a man because you had not done those things?
No.
Absolutely
but
not.
Even at 46, this was all part of I got to position myself to do that. I am now positioning myself better. I can do it. I will be able to do it. And I'm in the area where, it's all part of the master plan. But I don't feel less than. If I never accomplish it, I won't feel like a failure.
Because you've been striving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Ambition is subjective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't I don't disagree with you, Hayden. I mean, I feel where you're coming from completely. And it's subjective. And I think that where it becomes a problem is when there's disconnect in the marriage. When you got the boss babe and you got the bus driver, and they haven't decided together what ambition means.
Yeah,
that, in my opinion, is where it becomes a problem.
That's true. That is true. Now Lorraine's going to be going down to RTS. What's it called in Gainesville? Is it RTS?
Yeah, I dated a bus driver before. Actually,
you have?
Huh?
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm a truck driver.
Oh, so here,
I am a truck driver.
Okay, so and here's the thing that I think is really interesting is that people throwing shade at Ebony, not you, Ebony, because she actually verbalized, I guess. But it's like, but everyone's kind of thinking it like, yeah, she really should be dating a bus driver because what kind of ambitions does he have? So I'm just saying, like, when we talk about values,
right,
we have to define. Well, I mean, obviously, you know what Ebony said, it is subjective. And for me, you don't have less value, nor are our values misaligned because of the job that you do. Our values are misaligned because of who you are.
Exactly. And that's the story that I was making about my father. There was not anything, but who he was up here made him the richest man in the world to me. Not what he had in his pockets, not what he left in his bank account, not his inheritance to the four of us, which was $0.00. It's what he put in here, his seeking for better, even his dreaming. He's a dreamer. He was a dreamer, and I love it. And I am happy that I inherited some of that quality. I wish he were alive today to see the four people that he dreamed about what they've accomplished. I think he'd be overjoyed.
I love that. I mean, and I think that is
agree with that.
What'd you say, Lorraine?
I think Lorraine doesn't disagree with that, but I just think when we use that word, most people aren't talking about that. And just because you're a bus driver doesn't mean you don't have dreams to do other things and have other impact.
Well, this is the thing. Somebody's got to do it.
That's what I'm like. Who's going to drive the bus if nobody wants to? Everyone can't be a business owner.
Yeah, everybody can't do everything. Yeah, I mean, and whoever does whatever is just as valuable as anybody else. Like I said, like we've been saying this whole time, it depends on their values and what their ambition is for. Because again, they could have grown up in a broken home. So my ambition is to have a solid home. Yes, I want a stable job so I can have this stable home. I can be there. I can support.
you're fixing the way this is thinking. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, so I mean, I said if his ambition was to be a better husband, a better father,
You said that.
fighter, like to me, you never attain that. You're constantly striving for that. You're constantly growing. That kind of person is not someone who's just going to be isolated too. They're going to be serving in their church. They're going to be serving in the community. They're going to be doing other things. But like
the financial, I mean, if you're good financially, if you're not good financially, I need you to be more ambitious.
Right. Okay. That's what I said. You have to take care of yourself, and then you got to take care of me.
Right.
Because I don't, even if I'm making 7 figures, I'm going to have an expectation, and you're going to have an expectation of being a provider. Do we live under your salary? I don't care, as long as your salary is not 20,000, because then you need to have more ambition. But if someone is taking care of themselves, they're doing the things they need to do. And that was my point around the maintenance man. Who even knows how much money he's got in his 401k? Because he's like, every time I get a raise, I just put the difference in because I don't need it. I don't need it now. So we don't know. You can't just say this title or this person or this career, they're not ambitious enough. His ambition is to have something that he can retire with and take care of his family, his wife, or travel or whatever. And that may not be seen or demonstrated in the way that other people are ambitious, in that they're grinding till 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock or whatever, and this and whatever that. So my thing is, ambition, how I define it and what it looks like, is not the same as the general definition of that in the world. And I don't need that. As long as you're stable and secure and godly and all of those, the character, the values, then and you're okay with me making more money, because I plan to.
When I have 6 managers, and I bring them in for training. Anyway, Darren, Darren does some of this training for me, and just like in my 3rd session, I said, so what the point of the training is, I want you guys to be better people so that you can grow and you can, my manager makes good money, but the other ones are making, I think, maximum like $18 an hour. Now, nothing wrong with that. But
when inflation is like it is, but go ahead.
Yeah. And I said to them, so, okay, what do you guys dream of doing? And the 5 of them, we're good here. I checked out. I was so disgusted that their ambition was working at a pizza restaurant.
How old are they?
One, the assistant general manager, she's in her early 40s. Then the other manager's in the 40s. Teddy, my son, is in his 20s. The other kid is in his 20s. Well, the young guys weren't really like that. It was just the older people. They're just, I'm gonna make $18 an hour and get a little raise. I'm like, no, come on. No, you can't. I don't think like that. So it was hard for me that this is what you want to do. I'm like, no, you should be trying to get my job. You should be saying, hey, when can we open a new store? Or are you going to buy more stores so I can make, I think my manager makes around 65. Yeah, I can make what he makes. Or what. I'm like, no, we're good. We're good doing this for you. And I
do think that's different. They're barely surviving on $18 an hour.
Well, they have.
We're talking about different things here. Yeah. I'm not trying to be with somebody. I don't want to be with someone who's poor, in poverty, or anything like that. Like, you need to be taking care of yourself and whatever. Like, because I just don't want to live like that. Like, we grew up poor. I'm poor now. I'm not interested in that. I am not interested in that at all. But I'm saying, like, the constant trying to get more and more and more and more just to get more and more and more. I don't need that either.
Okay.
So there's a
I'm
there's
understanding
a balance there for me that that's just in me. And I'm not mad at anybody who wants someone who's just grind more, whatever. I'm not mad at that. That's everybody's own choice.
But chasing after money gets old after a while, I believe. That's what they say. I haven't done it long enough to know. But I think that you need to be comfortable. I think a woman respects a man that's doing something and contributing to his community and has
Absolutely.
more impact outside of. First you have to have impact with yourself, your family, and outside, whether it be spiritually, emotionally, whatever the leads are.
I want all of that.
Yeah.
I want all of that. Because for me, what I do is ministry. I want a partner in ministry. I don't know if you know, I'm sure you do, Priscilla Shire.
Yeah.
Her husband, we barely hear from him, but he's the foundation of what she's doing because she's the one out front, but he's the one building the business in the background. He's the one who's navigating that whole ship. And so his ambition is building their ministry together. It's not something separate from her. And so I do want to partner in ministry. I believe
Yes.
I believe that I'm good. I mean, I'm already on a public forum right now and with the book and whatever, but I think that's going to expand. I think God is going to expand that territory. I want a partner in that. I want someone who's managing the back door, protecting my back as well as the business. I want someone who's like, I want to, like, how can we do this? What's the best way? I want someone that I can talk that through with. So yeah, I want that, but I don't need someone who's like, because he could be, okay. He could be a bus driver and still be the best businessman in the world. He could be a bus driver and still be the best strategist in the world. He can be a bus driver and be the best partner in ministry in the world. And so I just think that for me to say, oh, well, I mean, I would just never even, like, if you're secure financially, I think that's important. At 54, I'm not that at all interested in pulling someone out of poverty. You need to have your stuff together and you need to step,
we come together and make.
You don't need to be this icon of, sixness that the world is saying that you need to be in order to be valuable. That's not what's valuable to me. So that's just how I see it. And I do want to partner in ministry. And so, I mean, this might sound whatever, but if he's out there doing like all of these other things, then now we're like, I mean, so now I got to still be doing my thing by myself. I want you to come over here and support.
Okay, that's actually a good point.
I want that to be your ambition, to support.
I'll tell you, the night after that meeting, I was distressed. I couldn't process it. I needed somebody I could say, this happened today and I'm feeling this way about it. Mm-hmm. I just needed someone to listen, So yeah, I get when you're building, it's always got to be someone to bounce that stuff off. You need that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like somebody said earlier, you don't want your wife to be a married single woman, or your spouse to just be a married single person.
That's an accusation I've heard before.
Ebony, were you going to say something about?
Yeah, I think this is a whole other episode. Let me just first of all put that out there. And to me, it's a reclamation of the word. Like, society has decided what ambition is.
Yeah.
And ambition should be personal. And when you enter into partnership, it should be between the two of you all. And so, like, none of y'all are wrong, because what you're speaking to is your personal definition and experience and expectations around ambition. And so it's right for you. Now, what we can't do and what we shouldn't do is project that onto other people versus having a conversation about it and walking in agreement in that. That's also where the rub comes in. And Hayden, when you think about the folks who are just like, I'm good, I'm straight here, I'm okay where I am, we also have to consider what people's lived experiences are, right? That person making $18 an hour and who's like, I'm good, may never have had someone to pour into them to say that they can do more if they choose to do more. That person could also be someone who was, a year ago making $5 an hour, and then they're like 18, I'm balling,
Right.
It's all about having a conversation with that person and understanding, what their experiences are, what, if any, their motivation are, and where they are in life right now. It could be a season, particularly for Black women. To shoot, sister girl went wrong. We tired. We are tired in these streets. And if I got a job where I'm okay, I'm able to do what I need to do, and I don't have to grind and hustle and do all the things, that might be where I need to be right now.
And it feels safe too.
It does.
I'm assuming they're African American, Hayden. Are they Black? These women.
My manager's Black and Teddy's Black. The rest of them are white.
Okay, but they feel comfortable in the environment still, which they pretty much all.
But I mean, it is everybody's experiences are different. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Everybody's, and it's just a matter of where are you in this season, and their definition of ambition is obviously very different from yours, and that's okay.
It is.
Because like when I was working at Camp Kalakwa, those folks were maybe making, I don't know, I think they were making a little bit more than me, but $13, $14, $15 an hour maybe. And most of them aren't, some of them are fine or whatever, but most of them aren't. And I think if they went from a place where they're making $13 an hour to a place where they're making $18 an hour, the work isn't as hard. It may be hard, but it's not as hard. It's easier. Like for them, they have a home. Especially some of these, people, from the country or whatever, they have a home already, even if it's a mobile home. But a lot of them have houses. They live in the country. They just need a job to kind of sustain their life. They're not out there seeking no purpose, and I got to do, they just want a job to maintain their life and do the things that they need to do. $18 an hour is a huge shift from $13 an hour. And so, I agree. But I want my husband making more than $18,000. I don't, if he's working for you, he better be the manager. He's not going to be no whatever. So what I'm saying, I don't have a low standard. I'm just saying I don't need him to be some of the things that these other folks are looking for. I hope that you enjoyed that. That probably could have gone on forever. I was very passionate about my points because I do think that we sometimes can create this idea of ambition, and that's typically what it means. It just means making more money or having more stuff or being able to do more things, but but has nothing to do with being a better person, a better husband, a better father, a better wife. And we lose some of the reality of once we have all the stuff, then what? That's when a lot of people start to fall apart, because now what? When there's no character and there are no values that are shoring up that relationship, then we're kind of stuck once ambition gets us to wherever it is that we want to be. And there's a balance. It doesn't mean have no ambition, don't do anything, don't be able to provide for your wife or contribute to your family, or it just means have balance. And also that it's personal. What matters to you may not matter to me, and that's okay. It doesn't mean one's right and one's wrong, because you're the one that has to live with the decisions that you make about your life. So thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next week, May 14th at 6:15. Until next time, make choices that will help you live, love, and marry wiser. God bless.